Fuck. It's 1 o'clock sharp. We're good.
Right.
So, Fernie, what's your full name, by the way? Let's start there. Let's start right there.
So I do have a full name. This is so weird. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's like my dead name, but like, it's Fernie comes from the word for like from the name Fernando.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hate that name, and like no one in life can ever convince me that name like is not. It's just not it. Do I look like a Fernando to you? Like, to be honest, like, let's be honest. Let's start there. I know you're asking me the questions, but like,
yeah, you know what? You can ask me questions too. I got you. I'll be honest with you. I think Fernando is hot though. I think of Fernando as like some hot dude. He has an accent. Yeah. He has an accent. Mm-hmm. He has perhaps either. It could go either ways, like a hairy chest or a shaved chest.
Exactly. Let's start there. Hairy.
You know?
Like,
yeah.
No.
Okay,
like,
I got you.
I'm like Twinkie Winky. Like, it's literally like, yeah.
Gotcha. Still, I mean, there is no wrong answer. So your name is Fernando, and we don't call you Fernando.
Yeah, like I even in my private life, I try to get a bunch of people to just call me Fernie. I just like I can't do it.
Fair enough.
And I'll obviously use it when like there's like a government issue thing going on, or just like by the border when I'm trying to get into the U.S. or Europe.
Yeah, it's not really a time to convince them of your nickname.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but
what's your full name?
Fernando Freiherr von Grunau. How weird is that?
That is great.
It's so crazy.
I don't know much about you. They sent me the information. As I said before we started rolling, I met you in passing at Secret City's offices. So looking good, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, so I understand that you're Montreal born, but you have like a very mixed background. Let's tell me about that.
Talk about it. Okay. So I was adopted from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Whoa.
And super, super crazy.
In that your parents went to...
They went to Sao Paulo to adopt me. They did like the whole 9 yards of writing all like the documents of like trying to get me and everything, the whole background check, everything. And so I was adopted by a Brazilian mother from Recife, which is, I think, more south of Sao Paulo, and a German father. So my father is from Munich.
Right.
And yeah, so they adopted me. They had already previously lived in Montreal. So they adopted me and took me back to Montreal.
When they adopted you, they weren't living in Montreal.
They were living in Montreal.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they were already settled, adopted me, brought me back.
And how old were you?
I was 1 year old.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just like, I got lucky. I got very, very lucky. I recently looked at like my documents on like what my journey as a child was. And honestly, I was brought around to so many places in Sao Paulo, like, and then just, I guess I was so lucky to just get adopted at such a young age, because there's so many people that like don't. So many children that don't have the opportunity.
Yeah, it's a small miracle.
It really is.
For sure.
I mean, that miracle kind of just like is the reason why I am where I am today too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like crazy how life works like that. So
have you ever wanted to go back to visit or to sort of get in touch with that?
So my mom has family in Recife, so I have had that like opportunity of going to Brazil and like visiting it. Only last year did I actually visit Sao Paulo for the first time. And it's such a full circle moment, because the reason why I was in Sao Paulo was because of a music festival.
Right.
So just to be there because of music in like my hometown,
you were playing?
I guess. Yeah, I was playing. Like it was my own set and everything. And
big flex.
Yeah, big flex, honestly, to be there for music and just like learning about my home and like my culture. Not Brazilian culture. I'm just talking about like just like the Sao Paulo vibe, the Sao Paulo culture, just like sightseeing and eating like the food there, everything. It was just like such an amazing experience, more than ever. Like I visited Brazil before, again, like I said, but
it didn't
this
connect
time
in
it
the
was
same
just
way.
like it didn't connect in the same way. Just now it felt more like it was more like a spiritual thing. It was just like, wow,
I love to hear that.
I can't believe it that I'm here. Like this is where I was adopted, and now you're just back because of music.
Yeah,
it's crazy where music takes you. It's crazy where life takes you.
That's beautiful.
I like manifest it and everything.
Poetry.
Yeah,
for sure. I believe. I think about life in those terms too. I mean, I feel that that's like the best parts of life.
Yeah, honestly.
Sometimes people are so they don't dream or they don't have that sort of romantic vision of life,
I mean, it's hard to dream, and like to be honest, like most of my life I've been living in a fantasy world, so I guess like that kind of helps. And like I've had my little dose of reality, obviously, in life.
Sure,
but it's never been handled well.
And do you have any siblings, or like are you?
Yeah, so I do have a sister.
Okay,
she was adopted from China.
Oh wow!
So we're a multicultural family. Yes, she is 3 years younger than me.
Wow, that's such a trip.
I know, right? So like a German father, Brazilian mother, Brazilian son, and then like a Chinese.
So what's it like at home?
It's chill. So like basically, my mom, she takes a lot of pride in her Brazilian heritage. So learning Portuguese was really important in the household. My dad also, he thought German culture was like super, super important to be brought up with.
Sure.
So we learned German. And then because we lived in Canada and Quebec specifically,
here's another two layers.
So there's like another 2 languages to like add on top of that. So yeah, I like speak like 4 languages. So that's why it's like really hard for me to like kind of like switch different languages and like talk. That's why I'm like, oh my God, when there's like a French interview, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it.
Do you speak a little French?
Like, I do. I speak French really well.
So genre, tu parles français là?
Je parle français, mais like under pressure.
Non, vas-y, là, genre, je veux, genre.
Je parle français, mais sous le pressure, under pressure. Under pressure, c'est comme vraiment compliqué, mais...
Ouais, je comprends bien sûr, mais personne n'aime parler en français quand ils sont moins bons. Tu sais, c'est un peu difficile quand tu penses que tu as un accent.
Mais quand j'ai pas d'anxiété.
And do you speak a little bit of German or a little bit of Portuguese?
I speak German very well. I speak Portuguese very well as well.
Wow.
And I can read German. I can read Portuguese.
Fernie, that's awesome. Amazing.
Yeah, I didn't really think much of it until I was an adult, and I was just like, oh my God, this is actually really intense. Like I could actually like really use it to my advantage.
Yeah.
Especially last year, it was my first year where I actually went on a full-blown Europe trip. And we went, it was a music thing too. Like we went to different festivals. We went to Germany, we went to France, we went to the UK.
Wow.
And the language is just... It came into good use, and I was so happy. There was there were also like people from Portugal that like came to like my show in Germany and stuff. So I was able to speak Portuguese as well. So that wasn't excluded.
Amazing. Fernie, just get a little bit closer to the microphone. Yeah. You can actually bring it to you if you want.
True. Okay.
See how good? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes it's just we tend to forget that there are microphones.
I literally forgot there was a microphone.
And I hate breaking a conversation when that happens, but I'm always like, I want to capture it. I'm always stressed out. I'm like, do I say anything?
It's all good. But yeah, last year was just like the first year where I just saw my languages being used for like good, I guess. Like Brazil, and then you have Europe kind of stuff. So
I really wish I spoke. I'm Turkish. My father's Turkish.
Oh, nice.
I wish I spoke Turkish, you know? Yeah. But it just wasn't one of those things that was possible at that time.
Mm-hmm. Is it because you wanted to? Like you didn't want to? Or it's just like...
because I was never given the opportunity.
Okay.
My dad, my mom's French. My dad's Turkish. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they were like, I'm going to teach him English and you'll teach him French.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
But then as I got older, I'm like, people sometimes come up to me or they take me as an Anglophone.
Oh, okay.
Because I speak such a good English. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because I'm like, I have nothing Anglophone about me. I'm Turkish. So you know what I mean? Yeah, and then as I got older, I'm like, I should learn Turkish. I'll tell you that I went to Turkey and I'm like, I can't speak Turkish.
It's really funny because growing up, it was like the exact opposite. I just wanted to suppress like my Brazilian side, especially because I was just like, I wanted to like kind of fit in. I wanted to be like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
The story gets weirder. So like I went to a German private school for like most of my life.
Really?
Yeah, like a German private school in Beiderfey.
Whoa.
I don't know if I want to like say the name of the school because
you don't have to.
I have like
we'll find.
I don't want to like. Oh my God, I don't even know if I'm ready to like get into like the whole like high school experience.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I have other questions. Actually.
Oh my God, thank God, because like I thought
No.
it was gonna be like, so what is it like growing up? I was like, oh my God,
no.
Like talk about that.
Slowly. I always want to know of my guests what did their parents do for a living when they were born.
Oh, okay. Well, my mom was a stay-at-home mom slash like student at Vanier. She was doing child studies. She wanted to work in the like teaching field, but like what was it called? Pre-K?
Yeah.
Yeah. That like sector.
Okay.
And then my dad was a psychologist at a university. So the University of Concordia.
Gotcha.
He was like one of the head honchos. It was dope. It was dope, yeah.
And what was the music that was playing in your household when you were a child?
So again, my mom, she's just like super 100% with her like, Brazilian heritage. So a lot of like Brazilian music, a lot of like classical Brazilian music, like the classics, like 80s, 90s, like
gotcha.
Not like sometimes funk, but like mostly, oh my God, I don't even know the name of the genre.
It's all good.
Like,
and
it's like country, but make it Brazilian.
You mean like folk or like
folk? Yes, like folk.
Right.
Very folkish, but it's beautiful. Beautiful. And my dad was super into soft rock and like like Rolling Stones.
So now I gotta ask you, because I noticed that there are sort of only two directions you can take. You can either love your parents' music, or you can just be like, oh, yuck.
They had some popular music, like the Black Eyed Peas, like they loved that. They loved Madonna. They loved Michael Jackson. They loved.
But like do you like that, or do you look at your parents' music and it's kind of like, oh, it's my parents' music, or
yeah, it's like my parents' music. It wasn't really for me. I was just like, I don't like this. I hope this isn't like the only music that exists in the world. Like, this is not happening to me. I also lived during a time where social media wasn't a thing, right? So like we were listening to music through a radio and stuff.
Yeah.
So it would be like 925 The Beat.
I love that you make it sound so bad.
No,
like,
it's not.
Pre-social
like,
media.
It's honestly, oh my God, we'll get to that later, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Like I have a lot of thoughts about that, but
I do too.
My scattered ADHD brain can't just like, it's like a lot. But anyway.
Sure.
So wait, where were we? Oh no, I just like lost.
I was asking you about your parents, and then my next question was going to be, which is I also feel a very important detail in someone's life is, what were the first musics? I just pluralized music. What were the first songs or artists that you remember as a child that you were like, that's my music?
That's my music. Okay. Oh, wow.
You know?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
I don't even think about that often. I would say, oh my God, who?
Like, you know, when you were in grade 6.
In grade 6.
Like, I know that, like, for example.
Like Bryan Adams.
Right.
I was obsessed with do you know the movie Spirit? It's like a horse movie. It's like this animated movie.
Yes, of course I know that movie.
Yeah, I was obsessed with the soundtrack. He like wrote that.
Right.
And that's something that, like, oh my God, I listened to that all the time. I remember that.
I love that answer.
Like, it's so random because
how old were you when you
I was like 5, 6.
Yes.
Like I remember seeing this in theaters.
Okay.
And I remember being obsessed with the soundtrack. So my mom bought the CD, and that's like all I would listen to for like the longest time. What else? Oh, the Black Eyed Peas. That was something that I was like obsessed with.
I think we've been talking for 5 minutes and you mentioned the Black Eyed Peas like 3 times. 3 times. So let's get right into the Black Eyed Peas. How do we feel?
They were so cool back then. Like Monkey Business was my jam. That was the first album that like I listened to that was pop and was unlike anything I ever heard. I was obsessed with Fergie. I was obsessed with Will.i.am. Like honestly, Fergie, I'm so sorry. My name is Fernie. I never want to get into beef with you. Like it's like really similar, but like
you gotta work together. Is
like
what it
please,
is.
Fernie and Fergie. Like it needs to happen. Who else? I think it was It was Black Eyed Peas a lot. Who like Madonna, I guess.
Right.
Madonna was really good.
So I have a thing about Madonna. Let's talk about Madonna for a second. All right. I feel that like I gotta be honest.
Okay.
I like what she represents.
Okay.
Because but a part of me also understands that like American music culture is also like co-opting certain things. You know, so she positions herself with like a lot of queer people and that whole thing. And I don't mind that. I think sometimes I have a problem with artists just, I'm not saying it's disingenuous, but it's also, I can't deny that these things are business moves. That aside, because I like that aspect of it.
Okay.
My favorite Madonna song,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope you know the song, is
Mm-hmm.
Frozen.
I don't know that song.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Fernie, you know what we're going to play right now?
From what album?
It's from her 90s album.
Oh, no, that's too far back for me.
Wow. I feel that like people always know. I mean, I like, I like her classic era. I like that album that she did with Hung Up.
That was the era that I grew up in. That's like
Yeah.
the era that I'm obsessed with. Like Confessions on the Dance Floor
Wow.
was like
Confessions
the album
on
for
a
me,
Dance Floor. Yeah, that whole record is amazing.
Yeah, that's my go-to still to this day. It's still one of my favorites. I grew up with Fergie actually, the Duchess at like 7, 8, I guess that like counts.
Fergie, the Duchess?
The Duchess, it was like one of her, I think it was her like debut album, like her solo album after she left Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I get you. Yeah, I thought we were still on Madonna. I was like, Fergie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I keep bringing. Okay, no, Madonna. Honestly, the only album that I ever listened to was like Confessions on the Dance Floor, like on repeat. There was another album that my mom had. It was called Erotica. I think it was in like late 1990s, early 2000s, maybe.
Right.
That was like okay. It wasn't like my favorite, but definitely.
Those are all like sort of the same era, so to speak,
Yeah.
like 2002, 3, 4, 5 ish.
Yeah, and then I stopped listening to her because like after MDMA, I was just like not really into it.
Right.
After that.
And so, at what age did you start thinking about music or singing? Or actually, let's start there. It's my understanding that you're a singer, but I'm led to believe that you also play piano.
Yes. So,
Gotcha.
well, it started with singing more than it did with... Actually, no, maybe it's the other way around, actually. I don't even know my own timeline. That's so funny.
Because you sent me a demo. If I'm understanding this correctly, you're playing piano on that demo.
I am playing piano on that demo, but like
Gotcha.
I'm gonna be very honest because like I don't want to get clocked in the future. It was a Splice sample that I found on Splice that I used.
Oh.
And then like I kind of like replayed it by myself.
I want to just reframe this whole thing. Like there's going to be no shaming or
no, it's not
downplaying
that.
of-
It's just not that. I'd like rather be honest about it now than later.
Sure.
Instead of being like, oh my god, yeah, it was like all me.
No,
It was
people use samples and they just...
that was like so sampled.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're sort of... That's how you... At what age did you start discovering music by yourself?
At what age? Like kind of when I was like 8, 9, I guess, when I like first started really looking for music. I was given an MP3 like when I was a kid, and we all had this software called LimeWire.
Yeah, of course.
Shout out LimeWire, shout out FrostWire. And basically I didn't really have access to YouTube like that the way other people did.
Right.
And I would mainly find new music through like my friends and stuff.
Right.
And movies too. I'm a huge movie person, so
Okay.
like soundtracks was like a huge way for me to like discover new music. I would have we were living in a time where like computers were a thing, right? So there was iTunes, and I would just like go through iTunes and look through like movie soundtracks and like just play like the various artists kind of soundtracks, and just like that's how I discovered like Linkin Park. That's how I discovered Paramore. That's how I would like.
So you were into those bands?
Like I was into those bands, but like I didn't know who they were kind of thing. But like the moment like the internet kind of gave me access to that out of like...
Honestly, for me, that was like such a...
It was like the dawn of the internet too, right? So like you didn't really know what was going on, and like...
I still think the fact that we have like streaming services in our phones is weird.
It's so weird, but
I
it's
have
so
everything
crazy.
in my phone.
Yeah, like the access I have now is insane. I don't know if I would have the same perception of music the way I do now.
At the same time, like music finds us, right? I mean, people got music before.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't have... when I was a teenager, like you, I had to buy CDs, man.
Yeah.
Like...
My mom would be the one to buy like CDs.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know about many artists, especially like in the, I guess, like the Hollywood American side too. I didn't really know many people. I only knew like my Brazilian artists from my mom, and then old stuff like Bob Dylan and Rolling Stones from my dad. And the only access I had to like current music was the radio. And it's always like the top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the same names over and over and over again, right?
I've been re-listening to Eiffel 65.
Excuse me?
Do you know that band, Eiffel 65? Wow. It's that song, I'm Blue.
I'm Blue. I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
I'm young.
And
guys.
so you started singing and playing piano around 9, you say?
So I was learning piano at a younger age than that, like I would say like 5, 6 ish. But it was
Oh,
like it
wow.
wasn't like piano. It wasn't like singing and piano. It was more just like piano itself, and I really didn't think about singing the way I do now, or like the way I did when I
Right.
started to make music and like just teach myself and stuff. But what I started with music, what kind of like led me into like the whole fascination was piano, and I would just like play like simple stuff.
Right.
It was like
You guys had a piano at
Mozart,
home or a
like
keyboard?
I did have a piano at home. It was like an electric piano. I still have it to this day.
Wow.
I still use it. It's in my living room.
It's
Been there
funny
for years.
how we take those things for granted, but
Mhm.
there was a piano there for you.
There was always a piano there
Yeah.
for me, yeah. But I don't know, I just didn't like learning classical stuff. Or like even the pop stuff back then. It was weird. It wasn't like my cup of tea. Oh, is that like a signal?
No.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I just like I was just so unmotivated.
Right. So you mean that like you started playing piano, but like listening to classical music?
Yeah, it was mostly like classical stuff. It
Wow.
was from the ages of like 5 to like maybe 9, and then I stopped. I did a lot of dancing back in the
But
day.
why? Because your parents wanted you to learn that stuff? Or just
That's a really good question. I never really like thought about that.
Because I mean,
guess
a
they wanted
5-year-old
to.
that just
Yeah.
picks up Mozart doesn't, someone has to tell you.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't like play Mozart. It was just like what the teacher like.
So you took piano
Yeah.
lessons.
I took piano lessons.
Gotcha.
My parents were like super into like you need a hobby kind of thing.
Right,
So
of
like
course.
while I'm doing piano lessons, I was also doing dancing. I was
Right.
I was huge with
I
dancing.
was gonna ask that,
I was
yeah.
doing competitive dancing.
Wow.
And then on top of that, I was also doing like soccer. I was obsessed with soccer.
Okay. So
And then yeah, I had like a full schedule as a kid, and then like obviously school.
Yeah.
I was doing horribly in school because everything else was so cool. I was just like, why do I need school?
yeah, I'm already
And like yeah, I wish I still had that mindset. Like obviously like I'd be less educated than I am, but like at the same time
Oh,
like
wow.
I was so like ready to
Sure.
work. Like put me to work. Like I'll play soccer. I'll do it professionally. Like music, I'll do it professionally. Like, come on, let's do it. But obviously, I had no perception on like what it really means to do all this.
Having said
But
that, it's not like you're really using whatever studies.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I always had that in the back of my mind ever since I was a kid. Like, obviously, I'm trying to like pass my schoolings and like
Yeah, you want to learn how to
do
read and
well.
write, but
But at the end of the day, it's just like I knew like ever since I was a kid, like this is not what I want to do. Like, just
It's funny that you say that. I felt the same way. I knew at 13. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, I knew at like 8. I wanted. Oh, this sounds so bad, but like, I knew I wanted to be a star since I was like 8. Like, I
Oh.
knew it exactly. I was like, I want to be like. It went from like I want to be famous to like I want to be a musician. Like, I kind of like understood like what the responsibilities were.
It's funny.
When I grew up, kind of thing.
I was actually having that conversation. Some really like successful artists that I sometimes am in contact with. It's funny that a lot of people were like very I don't want to say confidence, but they really didn't even dare to dream to be an artist. And here you are.
I dared.
Same
like when
thing.
I was a kid.
At
like,
13, I was like, when I heard my music for the first time, that's when I knew.
Yeah.
I was like,
good,
oh,
period.
wait a
As
minute.
it
Like,
should
this
be.
is it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because it's strange for an 8-year-old to have that conviction. Because
Well,
you look at 8-year-olds and you're like,
I was doing so much. Oh, I completely forgot that I was also doing theater during that
Okay.
time too. Like, I remember being really, really good at reading scripts. Like, I would remember scripts like within like a day or two. Like, it'd
Wow.
be like 20 pages because it's like a kid's play, right? It's like 20 pages. Like that, I would remember that within like a week, kind of thing.
wow.
I remember doing that really quickly. So I was always like, it was always really arts driven. So
Well, by the sound of it and what I've heard, what I've seen, very, very gifted and talented.
thank you. And then like at this point, I'm like, wow, like this is so cool, and I want to keep doing this. And then I remember, because you're a kid, right? So you only watch like cartoons and stuff. And I remember watching, I think Harry Potter was like the first movie I ever watched where like it's like real like actors now and
Yeah.
stuff. Like this isn't like they're not playing. And like it was the Chamber of Secrets. I was like 6.
Wow.
And like that stuff was disturbing. There was like violence and that and everything. And I was just like, but that's also like when my mom finally explained to me, like, oh, like, yeah, so that's acting. Like this is what
That's very
acting, like,
cute.
this is like the basis on like what acting is and what you do. And then I was like, oh, so I can do that.
This can be a thing.
This
Yeah.
can be something I can do.
Yeah.
And like ever since, I was just like, I need
I
to.
love
Like,
that. And
I
was
need to do this. Like this is like I need to be a star. Like there's no like
But that's
second
the
guessing
beauty
yourself.
of being a child. You can say things like that.
It's the beauty of being a child, and then it keeps going, and then like you're a teenager, and like honestly, I'm lucky enough to say that like not many people have like doubted me when it comes to like wanting to like make music and wanting to pursue that career.
Let's talk about
And like
that.
it's more like I got more of the doubts from like my parents, because obviously like they care for me so much and they love me very much, and they want me to like make sure like I have stability and like something
Well,
to
that
fall
makes
back
sense. But sometimes that can also play in your head.
on. Exactly, but
Yeah.
like also I feel like not to like go like too deep into it because I'm not really ready to talk about it, but like there has been moments where like it has been taken to the extreme, where it was just like you cannot do this, and like I have to like I persevered. I made sure like I got through that stuff, like the good and the bad, and like honestly, I'm so glad, or else I wouldn't be sitting here right now, kind of thing. So like,
So I have to assume that for them, you having a record deal now
Mhm.
is a big legitimizing factor.
oh yeah,
in
for
that
sure, for
story.
sure, for sure. And like,
Great.
I don't think it was really taken seriously until like 2 years ago, honestly. When I first told my mom that I was going to Paris for my first show abroad, that's when she like suddenly out of nowhere
Tell me
started
that
taking it
story.
seriously.
Tell me that story of how you actually ended up going to Paris. Tell me how you started making. Have you
Okay,
been
of
always
course.
making music under the name of Fernie, or were you in a
Um,
project, or
So Fernie was like way before like the artist kind of like perception of Fernie kind of thing. People were calling me Fernie. Like it was something that
gotcha?
was picked up during the times I was playing soccer, like during that era.
So
And
you've always made music under
yeah.
that name.
And then yeah,
Gotcha.
like it's just been music under that name kind of thing. It's just like I feel like it's always been who I am kind of thing too. It's like
Sure.
my chosen name. And I just like, yeah, again, like as a kid, I hated like Fernando as like just like going around and saying like, hey, my name is Fernando. Like even the teacher, when they would like call people in class, like I would hate that.
You'd be like
part too.
Fernie.
Yeah, just be like, please just like call me Fernie. Like this is too much.
So
But anyway, wait, I just lost my chain of thought.
no,
Yeah.
I was asking you how you started making music because you said you went
yeah.
to Paris.
Yeah.
So lead me up to Paris.
So I started making music myself when I was around like 12, 13. That's when I like discovered GarageBand, and it was just like here
Wow.
and there, like just like stupid stuff. Like it wasn't really anything serious, but it was cool to know that there was
For sure.
like a platform where you can just like make music.
Are you
Like, that's
kidding me?
crazy. Like
Of
at 11,
course.
and like it's like what, like 2009, 2008,
Yeah.
and you're like, what? You could do it like from
And
the
I can
comfort of
layer
your home.
myself.
Yeah, you
and
can
I
layer
oof.
that.
Yeah.
Discovering that. Oh my god, I didn't even look at like YouTube tutorials. There wasn't like anything like that back
Yeah.
then. I just like. I just had this thought one day. I was just like, oh my god, what if I could like layer and stuff? I didn't even know what layering was.
Yeah.
And like when I found that out, I like lost my mind.
I agree.
That was the
we
craziest
speak
day of
about
my
that
life.
often.
Like-
I hear you.
Oh my god, I was like, it gave me goosebumps.
Right.
And then I just kept doing it, and around the ages of like I guess like 12 as well, like I started doing vocal lessons at the West Island Music Academy with a beautiful vocal teacher named Laura. Shout out Laura.
Shout out Laura.
Like,
Yeah, what's
honestly,
up?
she's the best. And she taught me how to like sing, do vocal control, all that, like the nice little tips and stuff.
Breathing.
And the breathing. Oh, breathing was so important.
Sure.
So important. That was like number
I actually
one.
could think it's mostly all breathing if you want
Yeah.
to break it down.
The first thing she does when I come in, it was just like, okay, we're gonna do like the ma na 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 na.
Scales.
And the scale, that's
Yeah.
what it's called. Wow, I even forgot. And then from that, it would just be like, okay, time to breathe. Like breathing
Right.
exercises. But she was just like super in depth and profound with like the way she taught things. And she taught me how to songwrite too. It was like she didn't even have to. It was not even part of like her curriculum, but like I guess she just saw how
Yeah, I was gonna say
much
she
I
saw
wanted it.
your-
And that she was just like, okay, if you really want it, then like I'm gonna like teach you how to songwrite, and then like you're gonna go home and you're gonna write a song, and you're gonna come back and we're gonna see what we can do.
For sure.
And it
Well, you
was,
got to
like,
think
stuff like
as a
that.
teacher, if you see a student that's like passionate and you believe in him, I must assume it must be very stimulating.
But like also it's just music was also just like my safe space, right? It was like the only thing that like kind of just made sense in a world that just didn't. And she just saw that and she just like fed into it, and I'm really glad that she did, because there's like so many things that she taught me that I still use to this day, and like so many
Amazing.
tools. And so I was doing vocal lessons with her from like the ages of 12 all the way to like 18.
Right. Oh, that's
And
great. That's a good long
yeah, from like 12 to
chunk.
18.
Wow.
During that time I was also like learning the guitar a bit, and yeah, and then just like finding my craft
And how
in
did
terms of like
you?
production
What
too.
what were the first songs that you were doing? Like,
Mhm.
I gotta ask, like,
Mhm.
because it's your first official record on a label, I assume.
This upcoming one, yes, is
Yes.
gonna be the
But
first like.
before that, did you ever release music on?
Yes, before that I
Right.
released an album in like 2020, 2021,
Right.
called Aurora. That was also like DIY, but that's also like a whole thing. Like that's a whole thing. Like I'm not even at that like part of the timeline yet. Like we're still like 18, 19. Like
Yeah.
after like the vocal lessons and stuff, like I that was around the time I graduated high school too, and like I didn't do well. I had to go to night school and everything. Whole other story.
Shut up, night school. I've
Yeah,
been
sure.
there.
Oh god, it was literally the worst time of my life. But around that time, I was also like in a place where I just like felt like I didn't really want to do music anymore. It just didn't feel real to me,
Mhm.
and like I kind of forced myself to go to like CJEP and stuff. And I'm kind of glad I did now, because I wouldn't have met the person who ultimately just like changed my life like crazy. His name is Sam, and he goes by Sam Ather, and is he went to the same CJEP as I did. We went to John Abbott, and we met one night, and we were just chilling. We were just part of like this other friend group kind of thing. We didn't really know who we were, so we were just kind of just like trying to get to know each other. And he told me he was a producer and he had made like all these songs and stuff. And I was just like, oh well, like I'm a singer. I did this and this and this,
Amazing.
and like we kind of like shared our stuff. And when I heard his music, I was just like so blown away. I was just so surprised, because like this is the West Island. Like
Mhm.
this isn't, you don't really like hear or see producers doing this kind of stuff. Like it's usually all in
Right.
Montreal. Like this is also like what, 2014, 15, 16 kind of vibe.
Mhm.
So it's just like it's still like early. Like Kate Trinata, like I guess is like the only person right now, like during that time where it's just like his beats were like actually like going out there, and like
Yeah.
people were
Sure.
actually working with him.
Sure.
Or maybe I'm just dumb. Like I don't know anyone else like that.
Well, quick like this, I mean,
Mhm.
your experience, I completely understand. There's something very romantic and like
Mhm.
magical about
Yeah.
meeting someone that you're like, whoa, we can make music together?
Yeah,
This is kind of mind blowing.
my mind just like shifted, and then we
Sure.
started working together,
Gotcha.
and he created this collective called Kids from the Underground, and we
Hmm.
rode with that name for like 2-3 years. We were five, 6 members,
Wow, cool.
and we kind of just like started off all together. It really helped because like they all served as like a crutch to
Sure.
like kind of like
And motivation and energy.
and like
Yeah.
to help navigate into like this whole industry too, because like we're all going in brand new,
Yeah.
which is like also insane. And then yeah, we're also doing shows and stuff. Like yeah, I had done shows in the past, but like not at that scale. Like it was
Yeah.
always like recitals and things. So
Right.
it's different when you're going out to like a cipher or
Sure.
like downtown kind of thing, and you're like performing in front of like actual people who
That's so cool.
love, like who know this community, and like who just like they just like experience listeners, let's just say that.
Yeah.
So we did shows for like 2-3 years kind of thing, and then we kind of
Wow.
started branching out and kind of started working on our own things.
Mhm.
And that's when I started writing Aurora. And
Gotcha.
a lot of that album, there's so many influences and elements that belong to the collective, because it was an album that was collectively made, I guess, all together.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. It's got
And
a lot of different flavors.
yeah, and that's basically what threw me into
Is
this
that how
whole,
you
like,
went with Aurora to
yeah.
France?
Yeah.
You were playing
yeah,
those
yeah. It's
songs
because
over
of that
there.
album. Yeah, it's because of
Gotcha.
that album. That's where we received all our, I guess, our not notoriety, but like our
Hey,
attention.
yeah,
kinda
absolutely.
thing.
I mean, that's what it is, right?
So like yeah, we
Yeah.
released it, and like one thing led to another, and it went from like wow, it went from like releasing like the first single to like, okay, now I'm doing a Belle Bum like
Yeah.
episode,
Right.
and then from a Belle
Peak
Bum
Quebec,
episode,
baby.
yeah, and from a Belle Bum episode, just like, okay, now we found you a spot at Oshiaga, like let's go do that.
Yeah, that's
And also
crazy.
it's like it's 2021, like it's like there was still the pandemic and everything. It was just like Osheaga had very much like they really wanted to focus on Canadian artists that year.
They
So
got
like
no
I was
choice.
very fortunate
Yeah.
to like
But
play.
chance is everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like all chance. And also at the same time, there's just like there's like a whole new atmosphere going on too. Like now there's like booking agents that are interested in like maybe like taking me on. And then there's also publishers and I was with the Orchard back then. That was like a whole new experience for me too. I had never ever dealt with like a distribution company, I guess, on that scale. So like there's all these little things going on, all because of like this one DIY like album.
But that's great.
But
That
like
means
I
it
don't say that
connects.
negatively. I'm just
No.
like it's just like crazy how like one thing can lead to another. And like obviously moves were made and like everything made sense and like oh my god, I'm not even gonna lie. Like I use so much of like my CERB money that I received.
Got it. It's your money to use,
making
baby.
That, yeah, and like
Yeah.
I was on EI too because of like the pandemic, and I used like so much of my money to like just like fund that. Because I'm not gonna lie, like all those things did come to me, but there was so much money that had to be put
Of
into. Like my
course.
manager put in money as well too. Like we were just like extremely hands on with it, and I'm so glad we invested in that because like. I don't even know what would have happened if we hadn't, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hear you. And then, how did the connection? How did you work your way through this new record? So, because right now it's not out yet. You were releasing a new single. By the time this interview comes out,
yes,
I believe it'll be around the time of the single.
Okay.
But naturally, I'm led to believe that this is leading up to an album with Secret City.
Exactly. Yes. So, this album was. It was something that was coming my way, but it wasn't something that I like really thought about. It wasn't something that I structurally thought about. I'm someone that just like makes music, and like when I find a song that makes sense, it makes sense, kind of thing.
Right.
So there were a few songs that were written, I guess, that are featuring in the new album that were written like way before the first album too.
Oh, really? Cool.
Like the title track "Hopeless Dreams" for like the next album, that was written way before any track I wrote for Aurora, kind of thing. It was actually like one of the songs that was intended to be in Aurora.
Okay.
But the vibe just like didn't really make sense. So I just like I shelved it.
Yeah.
And then like I guess the idea kind of came I kind of wanted to revolve the project around the theme that I was talking about in Hopeless Dreams, which I guess I'll get into like a bit later too, because I don't really know how to describe it either. And,
Fair enough.
and sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to like think about like where I am in my timeline too now.
No worries about the timeline. It's it goes in and out. In your own words, how would you describe the song "Pain"? Not so much about like, just
well, honestly, Pain is like just a straight up to your face. Like this is a sad song. Like don't even try to find like any hope in it. Don't look for it. Just like I guess just like bask in it.
Okay,
just,
so
like,
I'm happy that you're
yourself in
saying
it.
that
Like
because
there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just this is pain. This is what it is, and like out there for the world. Like here I am. Here are all my scars. Here are all my imperfections, and I'm hurt. And there's not much I can say, kind of thing. You know.
I have to tell you that it was. I'm happy to hear you say this because you could, we never know what the artist could answer. I was thinking like, wow, this is like one of the saddest songs. And seldom do people really lean on that extreme vulnerability. Because, sometimes if it's too emotional, people, artists do have to protect something sometimes. And so they tend not to go as far as you did, I feel. And I must say that as a songwriter, from one songwriter to another, this was like, whoa. You really put yourself out there, and I must say, like, congratulations on.
Thank you. It was partially like Patrick telling me like you need to be vulnerable. Patrick Watson.
Yeah, let's talk about that. No, absolutely.
You need to be vulnerable.
I was gonna say.
And then another part of me just being like, look, like I don't know. There's so much that happened in my life to the point where like there are moments where I catch myself being like, I hate myself, kind of thing. And so it's partially like that. It's just like, oh well, like you hate yourself enough, like. Let the world know how much you hate yourself, kind of thing. But like, I don't know, pain is universal, you know. So I also want to talk about that.
Tell me about your collaboration with Patrick Watson.
So after the whole Aurora like album release and everything, one of my booking agents who worked with Patrick was chilling with him, and I don't know, Patrick hadn't been around really before the pandemic, and he was finally settled in Montreal. And he was just like, oh, I'm like looking for like to listen to new artists. What's going on in the city right now? Like, what's up? And he showed Patrick one of my demos, and Patrick really liked it. And he was just like, oh my God, like I need to like meet this person. And during this time, like I didn't really know who he was, like visually. But then like I looked on Spotify and there was like To Build a Home, and I was like, oh my God, like what the hell? That's so funny. Full circle moment yet again. That song helped me through so much when I was a teenager. It was crazy. So I didn't mention this before, but my dad had passed away when I was like 14.
Okay.
And the summer after that, that's when like I discovered To Build a Home. And like it helped me through so much too. And like the suburbs, it's just like such a lonely place. And like I was very introverted, didn't really have like many friends kind of thing. So like that song just like really helped me through a lot. So like jumping forward to like 2 years ago when I actually met him, it was just like a whole circle moment, and I was like, this is really creepy. That's when I started believing in like the forces of like spirituality.
Sure. What was it like to meet Patrick Watson and to work with him?
It was awesome. Meeting him at first, obviously, like it's awesome. Like, oh my God, like that's Patrick Watson. Like, holy moly. Like,
sure.
But then like over time, it's just like, okay, like it's just another guy. It's just
let's get to work.
Yeah, let's get to work. Like he's just a dude who like makes music, who loves making music.
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, sorry. Who just who loves making music. And
out of curiosity, what's one thing that you noticed about the way Patrick works that you took note of?
I was actually about to like go into that. So we were supposed to like make a song before the whole pain thing happened. We were supposed to make a song, and he's the type of person who likes to talk about what he wants to write and how he wants to structure the song before actually like writing it. I mean, before recording it and like actually like writing it itself. And I'm someone who listens to beats and then writes like very blindly. I don't really like pay attention to what I write until
it's
I like
time to
actually
go.
like until it's like actually time to tweak it and stuff. So he tried to like teach me that, but it just didn't work. It was just like not it. I was just like, this is not gonna work out. This is like really not it. Like I really want something to happen. Even him, like I kind of feel bad too. He's just like, I just really want to find something. Like we're trying to work on this structured thing, but clearly like our dynamic isn't working. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So
but it takes friction sometimes to progress to the solution to then do the thing. I think that's part of the process. Great.
So then I showed him like Hopeless Dreams, like the beginning. Like it was still like what, like 3 songs in? And he was just like, it's good. But like, you know, it's like missing, you know, a little flair, a little something. So like, please send me demos of like things that you're working on that like you just haven't like touched and stuff. And I wrote Pain in like 2020. And like this was during the pandemic. I was just like, I want to write a sad song. Like I'm so tired of life. Like I just want to be sad. And you know what's funny? I was like, I wrote that song and like I don't know what state I was in, but like I was just like, hee, okay. Like I'm gonna like just write it. Like you have you like listened to the lyrics kind of thing? It's
of
like
course.
They're dark and like
it's
like super dark and stuff, and then you just like imagine me just thinking they're like like it just I guess I was desensitized. I don't know.
You had a little distance from whatever you were talking about.
Yeah, I was just so desensitized, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna write it, and I was just like, this sounds good. And then I recorded it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna shelve it. It's too personal. So then now like Patrick is like, okay, I want to listen to your demo. So I bring it to him, and we're listening to it, and he's just like, what? Like, why didn't you show this to me?
Wow.
I was just like, I don't know. I guess it was just too emotional, too vulnerable. Like, I don't know if I want to open those can of worms.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he was like outraged. Like, he wasn't like mad or angry at me. He was just like, what? Like, how could you do this? How could you just shelve that? Like, this is what people want to hear. Like, this is what it is. Like, if you're not vulnerable, like, what's the point of making music? Like,
wow.
You need to do this. You need to, like, make this song. Like, this is what you need to do, or else, like, just get a job. Get a 9 to 5 if like, this isn't, like, the way you're going. And, like, that was the best day of my life when he told me that. Like, get a 9 to 5 if you're not going to be vulnerable like that.
Yeah, 100%.
I was just like, oh, my God, that's, like, the most iconic thing, like, you could ever tell me. My legs were shaking. I had like an anxiety attack, like low key. I was just like, this is Patrick telling you, like, be vulnerable or get a job. And it's just like, okay. And then, like, he was like, you need to go home today. Sorry.
It's okay.
You need to go home today. You need to write the rest of the song. I need to hear more of this. Like, you need to get on it now.
Wow.
I went home. I wrote like the second part again, just like, like no idea what I'm writing about. Super dark. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be as dark as I can. Like, let's go, let's go. And then I sent it back to him, and he was like, this is perfect. A few weeks later, he sends me back a demo. He was doing a rehearsal for one of his shows, for one of his tours, and he sends me back this demo, and I'm listening to it. And I'm like, I realized, oh, okay, like, he's playing the piano now. Like, oh, it sounds so much better. Like, it's so
I bet.
It's Patrick. Oh.
Yeah.
And, like, I keep going, I keep listening to it. And suddenly, I hear strings. And I'm like, stop. And then I hear, like, a whole, like, section of strings. And I was like, are you kidding me? And apparently, he wrote that, like, he wrote the whole section in, like, half an hour.
I bet.
And literally, while he was, I think it was at his rehearsal or something, they stopped. And then he was just like, or maybe he did this privately, but he took, like, the time out of his schedule to, like, record it. And, like, I was on the ground. I was crying. I was like, I, like, completely just, like, oh my God. And then, like, that's when the lyrics started to, like, kind of, like, really impact me. And I was like, oh my God. Like, the power behind, like, the way everything was just structured.
Now it
just,
connected,
like,
and everything started to connect.
Just like, wow.
Great.
And, like, you can kind of hear it in the album too. Like, I'm not gonna, like, give it away, but there was a time before Patrick. And then there's, like, a time after Patrick. And I'm not saying Patrick, like, produced, like, the whole album or anything. It's just there was a level of vulnerability before, like, creating Pain with Patrick. And then afterwards, I wrote, I think, like, 2-3 other songs for the album.
And that's sort of
that are hard hitting. And, like, I'm going to go as far to say that, like, I love Pain. I love it. It's so good. And I think so many people are going to love it. But there's this other song on the album called Bones and All, and I can talk about it.
No, we're not going to talk about it. We're gonna sort of leave it linger.
Well, there's another song. Well, there's
Absolutely.
another song.
Great.
It's, like, the next song that I created without Pat, and, like, it's just, like, it was, like, me and, like, my and Sam, and it's just, like, it's a beautiful thing because I'm able to be whoever I want to be with Sam, because he just understands me, and I'm able to, like, bring this type of vulnerability to him, and we worked on that together. And
amazing.
Oh my God.
So I think you took some of that, like, vulnerability or 9 to 5 back to Sam.
Yeah. And he just, like, opened this new Pat, just opened, like, this whole new door for me.
Great. Amazing.
I wrote these, like, 2 amazing songs that I'm so happy I wrote.
Cool.
And I'm so glad he was able to open that door for me.
Well, on that note, we'll get into the stems.
Yes.
Before we get into the stems, I have to talk about one of my sponsors.
Okay.
All right.
This is awesome.
Fernie, I got to ask you, first of all, do you like spices?
I do love spices.
Okay, there you go. So my sponsor is, it's called Épices de Cru.
Okay.
And they sell whole spice and spice mixes.
Okay.
So things like that. I've been eating their products for the last 15 years. And they've been in business for 20 years. So me, for sure, a thing that's really changed my life, the way I eat, my health, spices. So when I wrote to those people, they were super cool, and they were like, yeah, absolutely, we'll help you out. So now I get a sponsorship from them. So if you want to go, you can order online at épicesdecru.com, and the promo code, which I love this promo code, Spice Up Your Life.
Oh, I love that.
Spice Up Your Life for a 10% discount. And I would have to ask, now that you have spices in your hands, Fernie, what spice would you be? Or what mix of spice would you be?
What mix of spice would I be?
Who is Fernie as a spice?
I'm like a peppercorn. Does that count? Is that a spice? A peppercorn?
And you can actually buy peppercorn on this website.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll be a peppercorn.
Why would you be peppercorn?
Because it's not like a pepper and it's not like a hot sauce. It's just like a peppercorn.
Just like Fernie, it's got its unique little thing going.
It's like a unique spice. It's like hot, and it's like it gives like South American vibes. I don't know. It's not like
sold.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know.
It does make sense.
I also love chicken masala, so
come on,
I am using this for sure.
Actually, I can give this one to you, 100%.
Oh, really?
Absolutely, absolutely. You'll love this thing.
Oh my god, I'm so down.
So again, just before we get to it, so you can go on episdecru.com and you can check out and use the promo code Spice Up Your Life. Fernie, let's listen to the demo before we get into the stems.
Yes.
But because it's very similar-ish to the song, I don't want to give up too much of it.
Yeah, of course.
You'll let me know if it's too loud.
What is this pain?
It's good.
Is this what you sent to Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And we never changed it.
Gotcha.
He was like, we need that. Wait, am I supposed to talk during?
No. I just wanted to give it a moment. No problem.
On the hilltops, see the raindrops falling down. What is this life I've been?
Are you playing the piano or is that the sample that you were saying? Either or.
This is me playing. Yes.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna stop it right here. So I'm gonna play the instrumental now.
Yes.
And then I'll play a section of your vocals. So is this Patrick right now playing?
That's me.
That's you. Gotcha. And this is just you home on GarageBand?
Just me on Logic, actually. I upgraded finally.
It's interesting when you hear those things because that's where the artist really comes to mind, because this could be anything. You know, it's just a very beautiful chord progression. I could sing on this and it would be completely different. But what makes you you is like, oh, those are the choices that I came up with, the words, right? I love how bare this is because it could be anything, you know?
Yeah, I really like songs like that where it's like minimalist, so I can like have a lot of space to breathe and like just sing whatever I want to.
Do you feel this is you when I'm listening to this? Is this?
This is so me. Yeah, this is like music I make all the time, like.
Right on.
Just like not as sad. This is like the first one where I was just like, whoa, that's deep.
I'm gonna play a little bit of the vocals.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Wait. Oh my god, no, that's Patrick's, like, yeah. Yeah, everything. Oh wait, okay. Oh my god, I thought this was like my early demo. No, okay, everything.
They're very similar.
Yeah, they're so similar. Okay, the piano's Patrick. Piano's not me.
I love this stuff. Honestly, you know, I cry a lot when I listen to music. That's how I'm a very communicative person, but definitely crying and listening to music is like a thing that helps me heal, you know?
Yeah, it's good to be emotional, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's good to be in tune with your feelings.
Absolutely, and music is that vector for me.
And the more you hide it, it's just like, it just makes it worse for you, honestly.
Of course. So, you know, you can imagine how this music really touches me, you know? It helps, it makes it easier to cry and get emotional.
Yeah, and also like, especially with this song, like, it really highlights the influences that I had when I was a kid too. Like, especially with the side with the, just like movie soundtracks and scores and stuff. Like,
right. Yeah, you're right.
It really just like shines in this song, and I think it's something that truly just makes me so thankful and so appreciative.
All right, I'm gonna stop it here. I'm just gonna play a little bit of the vocals and not give away too much of it.
What is this pain? is this love I am feeling? A joke or a game? My mind stays the same, it's crippling. I imagine a house on the hilltops, see the raindrops falling down. What is this life I've been chasing? I try to survive, but I'm weakening. Body's tinking.
Do you have a favorite line in this song or a favorite moment?
This one. The Staying Alive Isn't Easy. And then another one like later on. Like Lost in a Maze.
When will I know what happiness holds for me?
What was the hardest part in recording this song for you?
The hardest part?
Writing or recording?
Recording, definitely. Because the first part was recorded at such a different time, and then showing it to Patrick and him telling me to like go sing the song and like go finish it. When I recorded the second verse, the big struggle was just like trying to make it sound like the first. Like I don't know. The first part was just so. It came from somewhere so emotional and so like genuine, I guess. And then the second part, like the lyrics are genuine and stuff, but getting back into that like vibe, just like it was so hard.
It's difficult to get back into a mindset. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talk about that often, for sure.
You can kind of hear it. You can kind of hear it in the song. I also feel like in the second verse, like my voice for some reason has matured in like such a short span. It was so weird, like re-listening to it, because like my voice just didn't sound the same, and I was just like, oh my god.
Fernie, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. I'm gonna play us out on your song.
Nice.
What is your Instagram handle?
At Fernie Official.
Well, I hope you come back and we can talk more about your music and
so
your new
down.
record.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I love your music. I can see really beautiful things coming for you,
Thank
Fernie.
you. I hope so.
I want to say thank you very much for coming and meeting us.
Thank you for having me.
I want to remind people that it's really important to follow the artists that I get on here on Instagram, to follow them on YouTube, to follow them on Spotify, wherever you're getting your music. You can buy his merch. He's obviously going to be releasing merch, and he has a vinyl coming out, obviously.
At some point.
Same thing with me. I have T-shirts. So if you want to support the podcast, you can buy a T-shirt, or you can follow us, obviously, on social media. And I have a Patreon as well. On that set, we cue to the music.
What is this pain? What is this love I am feeling? A joke or a game? My mind stays the same, it's crippling. I imagine a house on the hilltops, see the raindrops falling down. What is this life I've been chasing? I try to survive, but I'm weakening. Body's tinking, losing meaning. But staying alive just ain't easy. I'm left in the void. When will I know what happiness holds for me? What is this pain that I'm feeling? 'Cause all I have are memories I just don't want to keep anymore. And all I do is constantly think about you. What have I done? Wasted the best of me for you. I can't breathe no more. I can't breathe no more. I can't breathe no more. lost in a maze. Every corner enclosing around me. Hurt and afraid. Naked without your safety. We fought and we clawed, felt nothing at all. One day at a time, too much weight on my spine.